Hello, this is Jack Lacey. I'm here with Crystal Lacey, and we are part of Wings Relationships, and we're also part of this podcast that you're listening to, Awkward Conversations and Dirty Secrets. So today, we're going to be talking about secret complaints. So think about those things that bother you, that annoy you, that you don't want to tell your spouse or your wife or your husband or your lover or even your friend you're with. Somebody who you have a relationship with in some form or fashion annoys you, but you keep it to yourself because you love that person. So we're going to dig in kind of deep to some of the women's thoughts on it and some of the men's thoughts on it. Again, some of these may be stuff that myself and Crystal have about each other. Maybe not. I'm not going to tell you. No, I'm just kidding. And then some of them are just something that we've heard from other people that have told us. So we're going to pass it along to you. And you think about it, really and truly, some of the ways to get by this is kind of talk about it with your spouse. I know it's a tough conversation, and that's where we come into those awkward conversations. So let's dig into it, and let's get into it. Crystal, go ahead.
Let's do. And so even when Jack was saying that, some of us have roommates that we live with, even just friends, as he said. Some of us have roommates that we live with. I've lived with another man before that was just a friend of mine, and sometimes we have friends that we live with that do things that just annoy us. But either way, there are tons of different living situations out there, and outside of living situations, just things that we do around each other when we have those relationships in life, that things people do that just annoy us or bother us. And sometimes, they may be harmless, but sometimes they might hurt our relationship, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about. That's what we really need to decide. That's what is important. So we're going to kind of jump into that.
Before we jump in real quick, one thing I need to add real fast is that we are sponsored by several sponsors. And I think, we've been talking about Eharmony is one of ours. It's when you watch our YouTube, you'll see a link to Eharmony. And we also want to talk about Death Wish Coffee, another one. Great coffee that you can go down and, again, there are links below in the description on our YouTube video, and check those out. So, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yep.
Interruptions, that's one of those annoying things.
So, secret complaints that couples, friends, anyone in relationships that we have about each other, but especially couples is what you hear the most about, because we live together. Are they harmless, or are they hurting your relationships? This is what we really are going to focus on tonight. And there's a fire truck going down our street.
They're coming to get me.
So the main focus is, bottom line, healthy habits are the platform of peace, happiness, and well-being. So this is the root of what we're trying to figure out here. So this is the why of what we're trying to gather. Yes, we all do things that annoy each other, but why do we want to figure those things out, and why do we want to get those out in the open? Because it helps contribute to a healthy relationship. We can all go around and keep those things inside, and some of those things, yes, it's good to keep those inside. In a sense, especially if you have children, we all know you have to pick your battles. You can't go to the mat on everything, okay? If you've ever had a wrestler in your family, you know what I mean by that. You can't go to the mat on everything. So you can't choose to battle on everything. So or you would be battling on everything. So you have to decide what is most important to you, or you would just be being silly about everything in a sense. So what is really important to you? What annoys you the most? most, or what is really bothering you the most, or what is really hurting your relationship. So before we get started, I want you to just really keep that in mind. What do you feel like just really, really gets under your skin, or what most importantly do you feel like is, hurting your relationship or might hurt your relationship in the long run? So, because I'm the woman, we're going to start with men.
Right, men. These are what annoy women, so take notes.
And I decided to make...
Some women. A lot of women. Most women.
I decided to make 2 lists because I felt like, and I don't know about all of you, I felt like there are kind of 2 lists. There's kind of like a physical, like petty list. Things that are like around the house that are like, oh my God, I can't believe it did that. Like, why would you do that? Like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you leave that like that? And then there's like more, serious matters. So my first list is the physical petty list for men. And Jack does not do a lot of physical petty things. I will let you know that. I'm very lucky in that way. I've been in other relationships for a lot. A lot of these things were violated. So
thanks, Mom, for growing me up correctly.
Thank you, Rochelle, and
Darlene
for raising Jack in the correct way.
So Darlene Lacey's my mother who raised me. She's the one that raised me correctly. So yes.
Deal with all of this. So the number one, obviously, and Jack doesn't do this, is leaving the toilet seat up. And I live in a house full of men because I have 3 boys, and even when Gage lived here too, nobody did this. So thankfully, I don't have to deal with that. Number 2, leaving the toothpaste cap off. That's just gross. Number 3, not turning your clothes right side out. Okay, Jack doesn't do this, but my boys do, and it does just drive me bananas.
You take off your socks and your underwear, turn them right side out, put them in the dirty clothes. Because you're not washing them, you're not doing all the work, so do a little bit of something for your mom or your spouse or whoever's doing your laundry. If you're doing it yourself, then by all means, do what you want.
Yes. And I've just gotten to the point with, my boys, and it's only 2 of my boys that do this. My sweet Caleb does not do this, but I say sweet. He's not sweet all the time. But, the clothes don't get clean that way. Am I right, ladies? They don't get clean when they're wrong side out, especially if they're disgusting, filthy. My oldest works in construction. He's works for electricians, so sometimes he's down in trenches. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you're gonna leave your clothes wrong side out? I'm gonna wash them wrong side out. So that's your punishment.
And he's doing a lot of his own laundry now, so.
And yes, he does his own laundry 90% of the time. He doesn't live here anymore, so.
He brings his
but he does
here.
do his laundry here. So this is a big pet peeve of mine. This is one that I will go to the mat on, but because I am me, I have a hard time with this. So chewing or smacking with your mouth open. And this applies to men and women. Like, I go to restaurants and I have to not watch people eat because I will get physically disgusted and lose my appetite.
She didn't put it on her list, but I know another annoying one is a spoon or fork rubs on the teeth. She hears that sound. That's very annoying. She didn't put it on her list, but I know her well enough to know that bothers her too.
It does, yeah. And the scraping on the plate. Another big complaint for guys is eating like a pig. And part of that is just a guy thing. Again, I live with a house full of boys now, men. I kid all the time because I have seen somewhere where you can buy utensils that are shaped like shovels. Because I've always said, like, might as well just use a shovel because it looks like that's how you're eating with a shovel. So yeah, shovel spoons, it's a real thing. Hopefully we never have to get to that point, but I will verbally correct everyone at the table because I can't handle bad manners at the table. Not being well groomed. I don't know about the rest of you ladies, but when I was, dating around, and I guess we're having drag strip on our street. So. I don't know about the rest of you, but those were two of the main things that I looked at were, nails and teeth, because, if I'm sitting across from a man that has longer fingernails than I do, or he looking like he got a coke nail or something like that, like gross, what? No. Or he got some dirt up under his fingernails. Like, I'm sorry, if you can't spend enough time to scrub your nails and cut your nails,
I got a little bit.
Wash your hands.
I got a little bit of dirt.
Like, come on. If you don't have enough time to wash your hands and wash your fingernails, what does that say about the rest of you? Right? Am I right? Brush your teeth. Make sure your teeth are like white.
I promise you guys, you don't want a woman that's got dirty nails and nasty.
Yeah. Like teeth that are taken care of.
Be what you want in that sense. If you want a clean, good smelling, beautiful woman, then you need to be clean, good smelling, and beautiful as you can be yourself.
Yes. If I'm seeing some black up on their teeth, and sorry, that's just me. I don't know about the rest of you, but. And that is a common complaint of, research across the board. So, dressing like a slob. This is a typical man thing. When you're in your house, that's one thing. But, I mean, if you're all the time, like every day, just like hanging around in your sweats and like, you don't ever try to dress up, or, and you go out, you're going out for a drink and you're just like, I look alright, you're wearing your t-shirt with a hole in it, and you're like, no, that's not okay.
No, and it doesn't have to be, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to dress up like a suit and tie or a button-down shirt, because I wear a lot of heavy metal t-shirts, but I try to, they're nice and clean and not looking crazy. So you got to think about the style that you are. A lot of times, because I try to wear clean, clean jeans and a clean t-shirt. They may be rock and roll type t-shirts, but that's kind of my style more often. But they're still nice and clean. I don't look like a slob.
Yeah. And let me just tell you something. If you're going out somewhere and you come home and your lady's dressed up, like
then you better get dressed up.
Like a t-shirt and jeans, and she's dressed up, that's just a hint. I'm just saying.
The best thing you do is, what I do is always say, what do I need to wear? Like if I see her dressed up really good, I'm like, should I wear this? Does this look good? Don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid to ask. Like, where are we going? What is the dress code? So, yes.
I think a lot of men are kind of like, I'm a man, I don't have to, but you should.
And that's okay.
Say, hey, because you say, well, what should I wear? What should, is this shirt good? Is this shirt, because I know guys like me be like, this shirt's kind of wrinkled, but is it all right? So we gotta figure that out, because we're not, we're just not. A lot of us men are not built that way, and if you are a man that's built that way, more power to you. But that does happen all the time.
And that's okay. And believe me when I say, women appreciate when you ask those questions. It's very flattering to us, and we really appreciate that you care enough to ask us how to dress where are we going? How should I dress? Is this okay? Like, should I wear something more, dressy? More appropriate?
More revealing?
More revealing. So, how is everyone else going to be dressed? Those kinds of things. So, those things are important, those little things. Being a human garbage disposal. No.
That was my nickname growing up. That's my sister, right, Laura? Human garbage disposal.
This is just like, you don't care about what you eat. You don't care about your health. You will eat anything in the refrigerator. Like you're eating just junk, crap, everything in sight. You're up eating at midnight. Like, this is just in general and not caring for your health. I think that women don't like this because it's not healthy, and you don't care about what you look like, your image, because in return, that is a reflection upon us. And we're concerned for your health too.
Don't you want to be like those old couples, 80, 90 years old, sitting on a park bench? Well, if you're not watching your health, you won't be there.
Yeah, and I know a lot of older people, and when those men become diabetics, who has to take care of them and cook for them? Their wives, and that's not fun. Let's be honest. They have to cook for them. They have to change their entire way of life, and it's not fun. And they have to eat that way with them. That's not fun. So don't be
add you some veggies. Don't eat at midnight, but add some veggies and add some salads.
Yeah, just
not gonna kill you. It's good stuff.
Things to think about the long run. We all like to eat, bullshit now and then, but just think about, especially when you're getting older, like we are. You can't eat like that all the time. So. Speaking like you are addressing a large crowd, I think I didn't word this well, but
ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. I'm sorry.
I have a child, I won't say names, that every time he speaks,
very loud.
You can hear him in any room in the house. You can hear him outside. You could probably hear him down the street because he sounds like he's yelling, but he's just very loud spoken. Some people really don't like that, just extremely loud. I'm not going to say that it's a pet peeve of mine, but some women really don't like that. Like, just tone it down a little bit. Sometimes we're out and about in public and we hear guys that are just like,
we just sit there looking at each other and we're like,
we can't even have a conversation.
We're like, holy moly. And I'm a pretty loud guy, but I've got a deep voice, so that kind of helps it. But I also know I'm not going to go crazy where everybody in the whole place can hear me too. So.
It's a little bit annoying. This used to be Jack, which I didn't really have a problem with because he still spent a lot of time with me, but he doesn't do it so much anymore. But playing video games all the time, there are those guys that do it just like constantly. It is a little bit annoying.
I understand because trust me, I ain't a video gamer. I could probably play video games 8 hours straight and not even know the day went by. But we have to, as men, we have to say if you're in a relationship, you've got to curb some things. You got to think about spending time with your spouse or your loved one, and you've got to, think about things like that. I've got to cut, a certain amount of time I'm gonna play my video game, a certain amount of time, and I'll tell her sometimes. I say, hey, do you mind if I, kick out a couple hours here? I want to play my video game. You just gotta work on that. And I know I've had several friends that we played with that now they're married and you don't see them play as much, and it's because. Guess what? You play video games because you're, on your own and you're a guy. That's fine. But once you get in a relationship, you've got to, build that relationship and got to grow out of some of that stuff. Even though I still play at times, I still like playing some of my video games at times. And but it's just you got to balance that. Video games, life, work, and relationships all together.
Yes, definitely. And again, it's one of those things, like, it's just respecting the fact that he asked me. You know, I wouldn't have probably mind anyway, but the fact that he asked me, like, it really means a lot to me that, you know, he asked me that, because what if I did have plans, you know? I mean, of course I don't care if he does that, but...
I love playing some video games.
Yeah, I would probably mind if you played 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
But, yeah, it's different, so... and then kind of the more serious, like, well-being list. This is an aside list from the petty list. So... prioritizing their phone over her. So the men prioritizing their phone over their woman or their life. And this is a big one for me, because for any of you that know me, I'm very anti-phone. Like, if you guys have ever heard, like, one of my most favorite songs in the world is No Phone by Cake. Like, if you have never heard it, go listen to it. Because, yes, phones are a necessity, but I could probably be without my phone for half the day and not care, or more, the whole day. There are certain reasons that I have to be by my phone for health and safety for my children, but other than that, like, I could care less most of the time. They're evil, but they're an evil, what am I trying to say? They're a necessary evil.
Yeah, because there's times that, like, especially if we're running businesses, like I do photography, and I do videography, and YouTube, and such. So I'm on my phone a lot, but it's for work type of stuff. It's for building our businesses. I do a lot of social media to shout out those businesses. But at the same time, it'd be different if I was just sitting on my phone, just like messing around, like just on it all the time and not focusing on my wife or focusing on things like that. So sometimes we have discussions about that. I'm like, I'm working on stuff. I'm on the phone because I'm actually working on stuff. It's not because I'm
right. And
so it's one of those things that's a communication thing also. If you're on there for business and working on projects and stuff like that, then your spouse needs to know that, and y'all talk about it. But again, I've seen people who just on their phones all the time, and they're just because they're bored, because it's a habit, and so we just gotta work on that. And sometimes I can get on there and do so much stuff that I'm rocking and rolling, and I speed read. I went through courses, so I speed read, so I can go through and hit 50 different posts and read stuff, and I'm good. But it's not because I'm really focused on the phone. It's just that's how I do it, and I've got to, sometimes I just set my phone down. I set it on the charger. I do something just to get away from it. Sorry, that's an ambulance this time, I think. Anyway, another emergency vehicle. Thank you all our first responders out there. So anyway.
But yeah, I mean, I agree, definitely. I think, before businesses it was different for me. But yes, I mean, there are a lot of for some people out there it's different, and your phone should never take a priority over your life. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with being on your phone. I'm not saying that. I mean, phones are more important for some people than others. I'm not judging anyone out there.
Just don't let it rule you.
Don't let it. Yeah, I mean, you have to have time for those things, and just remember, when you're with your person, that's secret time. You're gonna have time in your day when you're not with that person. You can be on your phone then. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not gonna have times in your day when you're with your person. So, just be a good judge of your time management. The next one is like not keeping your promises, and I don't really have this with Jack because he's really good about keeping his promises. I'm very lucky, but I've been, as we have said before, we've both been through the mud. There's a lot of men and women out there equally that don't keep their promises, and that's so annoying and so frustrating when people don't keep their promises. lying about small things. I feel like this is men and women equally. Like, just like stupid things. Like, why would you lie about that? Like, that is I didn't eat all the chips. Like, why? Especially when you know that they're lying about it. Like, why would you lie about that? That's so stupid.
Sorry.
Poor personal hygiene. This probably should have been on the first list. Like,
sorry.
Like, oh my God, just, take a shower every day, brush your teeth twice a day. Like, I can't, I mean, I do this with my kids too. That's like.
And again, that goes back to, what kind of woman do you want to be with? Do you want to be the one who doesn't brush her teeth and shower and has bad hygiene? So, as respect, do the same thing for your woman. Or your man, or whatever you're interested in.
That's a tough one to come out and, a lot of these things are hard to say and hard to bring up, but it's I deal with them more with coworkers and people who work for me, and sometimes they have some hygiene issues and you have to sit down and talk to them, and that's tough, But I think it's a necessity, not for them only working with the customers, but just as life in general for them. They need to hear it because somebody may not tell them. Their spouse or whoever may be kind of embarrassed to tell them. So, somebody's got to step up and be the person that said, hey, you've got to put some deodorant on. You got to shower a little better or do something. It's unfortunate that it has to be that way, but everybody gets busy, and I understand. And sometimes you're like, man, I'm just exhausted. I don't feel like taking a shower. That's me a lot of times. But I know I do. It just makes life better. You'll actually feel better when you get cleaned up. You do, and I think it's hard. Like, a lot of these issues that we're talking about, it's taking a break in between discussing these things. It brings to my mind, like, how do we talk about these things? Like, that's the difficult part. Like, how do we bring these things up to our partner? Like, how do we go about, like, wow, okay, yes, I hear all these things, and some of these things are striking a chord with me, but, like, how do I have that conversation with my partner, or, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my friend? Like, ooh, that's so awkward. Like, how do we do that? How do we begin to, like, say, man, you really, like, I really don't like that you keep your promises, when I ask you for these certain things, and you say you're going to do them, and you don't follow through with that. It really, like, hurts my heart. Or, like, the best thing I can say, when you have that conversation, is to not say the you statements. We talk about that a lot in coaching. It's really all about wording. And so the most difficult part is to find out and to decide how you're going to have that conversation. And we can talk about that more. That's like an entire other, like, coaching session, but trying to decide how to go into that conversation, but using statements like, I feel like, or when this happens, and not saying you, or when you do this, or when you do that, or you always, or you never. Like, those are very attacking, judging statements. And those are, those open doors to make the other party feel very judged and persecuted. And it also opens the floodgates for an argument. So just keep that in mind for when you do have that conversation, to be very careful with how you approach this subject. You might even Depending on your learning style, write out the conversation, or, talk it out to yourself, rehearse it a few times, what you're going to say, what you plan to say. Talk it out with a friend, like, how does this sound? Like, what do you think about this? Because it can be really difficult. But definitely your wording, can make or break that conversation. So just remember that. But moving right along, going back to men, neglecting their doctor visits. This is a big one for men. I feel like, anyway.
I hate going to the doctor.
A lot of men don't like going to the doctor or the dentist.
I've gone more since I've gotten married than I ever did before.
And again, I think it's a lot of just their partner, being concerned for their health. That's a big complaint that's silent, or not silent, like.
Yeah, she lets me know.
We worry about them, obviously, mental health and things like that kind of go along with that. Another one that I had seen and heard about was wasting time on their phones. Kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier on the phones. But another interesting fact is this: if you're wasting time on your phones, and this is not just men, but women too, this can often lead to psychological problems. Not always, but many times relational problems as well. So just keep that in mind. If you're spending a lot of time on your phone, that can kind of cause that friction in your relationship, as well as some personal problems in your own well-being. Another pet peeve of women for their men is being a homebody. A lot of men don't like to get out. They just want to stay home all the time. A lot of people, don't like that. Like, let's go out, let's do something, let's have a good time. Not just women, I said women, men. Yeah,
your spouse likes to be taken out and likes to be.
Let's go out and have a good time.
It's natural. It's natural for people to want to be around other people sometimes, and if you're home all the time, it's just you two all the time. That can be kind of detrimental. You've got to get out and socialize in life. And,
yes.
And that's putting down your phone. And so one of the great stories back when I told another podcast was about us going to the Irish pub. Nobody was on their phones. Everybody was talking, socializing. It's just getting to know people and getting out there and building them bonds of just relationships for just a conversation, even if it's only for a couple of hours with somebody you don't know, but you're with your spouse or your loved one and you're just enjoying life. And so you're not going to be able to enjoy life in that sense if you're sitting in your bedroom or your living room all the time.
Yes, most definitely. And you have to remember that. You can sit at home anytime. You can't go out anytime. Just look at what happened to us last year, COVID, and it's starting to happen again. We can have that wiped out anytime. We can have our freedom taken away from us at any moment. There's so many things going on in the world. You need to go out and have a good time while you can. And how do you know you're not going to enjoy yourself, And even if you don't like that, your partner may enjoy that. And you can't sit here and tell me that doesn't give you joy, seeing your partner have a good time. So sometimes you just got to take one for the team. Being a Hoover, unhealthy foods, that's kind of repetitive, going back to the thing we talked about before in the previous list.
Live long and prosper so you eat well.
Yes. Being a couch potato, not exercising or caring about the way that they look, just laying around all the time, staying in bed or laying on the couch. Disrespecting women, this is a big one. I don't know if you guys know anybody like this, but I've met, you know, some men that are kind of like this. That just constantly have to be disrespecting women, saying something bad about women. Women are sexual objects, or they're all like stupid. That's just completely bad habit, or for whatever reason, if they think that's cool, completely uncool. And then another one is lacking ambition. Men that have no desire to, you know, fulfill any kind of dream or go anywhere or do anything with their life. Being financially irresponsible, and interrupting. That's kind of like my biggest, probably one of my biggest pet peeves is being interrupted.
I try not to do that.
I like can't
But
stand
sometimes
that.
I do. That's been one of our talks, for sure, because sometimes I do.
I'm just like,
It's so funny because the conversation starts, and I'm like, oh, I got something to say, and I'll interrupt. And I've had to I'm trying to learn to be better at that. And that's definitely something that I don't do out of purpose, and you probably don't either. So we guys have to watch ourselves sometimes because, you know, it happens. You hear something and you think it's something, and automatically you say it, and then you get interrupted and you know it. And that's really a bad habit of mine that I'm always working on. And I know, so I know it's my habit. You don't even have to tell me that. That's annoying because I know it's what I do sometimes.
I think a lot of these things go back to our past traumas or past like things from our childhood. Like
I need to be heard.
Like, been interrupted, you know, my whole entire life, and not heard really my whole life. And so, like when I'm interrupted, like I feel like I'm just like being. Wow, I think I have to say something.
It's all important. That was very all important. Now it's my turn.
Now it's Jack's turn. He's gonna tell us all about the women's list.
Okay, got my list right here. So if you see me looking down, watching YouTube, it's because I want to make sure I stay on track because I am very good at ad-libbing and running off and unicorns and butterflies. So anyway, leaving your makeup out everywhere. How many men that drives them insane? So it's like, you know, women, you know, you're great about putting on makeup and looking beautiful and the same kind of thing. Just put your makeup up. So leave it. Nail biting. Now men, I've known this, and no offense to my dad, but my dad was a big nail biter for years. I remember he used to do things. He would like put tape around his fingers. He did all things to get himself to stop the habit of biting his nails. So it's not just a woman thing, it's a man and a woman thing. If you bite your nails, that's kind of annoying to people. And there have been times I was sitting there and biting, and I think a lot of times it's out of you're nervous or you're concentrating on something. So just kind of watch that, you know.
I do that.
So, yeah.
That's why I have to constantly keep something on my nails.
Right. Selfie taking. So how many men does this drive them crazy? The woman's like ching 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 ching. And then again, I mean men are ching ching. I'm a big selfie taker. I do it like with groups a lot of times. There's not a whole lot that I have like by myself. I'm really good about taking selfies. I don't know, good. I'm good or bad or whatever, but I do a lot of selfies. But the thing is the right time to, you know, there's a right time to do that and there's another time to do that. And as I've seen the ones that women, I've seen on Instagram, so women taking 40 different selfies and just posting them and posting them. It's like, and it's all these guys are liking them. I'm like, it's annoying. So, nagging. So I love anybody. Remember we talked about it today on the last iPod. Tim the Toolman Taylor, one of my favorites. Tim Taylor, what's his name in real life? Tim something. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he is hilarious because he's like a manly man, and he's always like, and the women nagging. So it's like, you know, one of the funniest posts I've ever seen is like, women stop nagging and telling men to get stuff done. In 6 months, every 6 months, because we'll eventually get it done. I don't know if I said that right. Stop nagging and men every 6 months to get something done. Anyway, women, I don't hear a lot of men nagging. I'm sure there are some nagging men. Maybe out there. Maybe. I don't think I'm a naggy man. Anyway, so don't nag, you know. It's different to tell somebody. My wife, I tell her, say, leave me, like, make me list. Leave me list. I like lists of saying things, You need to fix this chair. You need to, can you? And a lot of times it's not fix this chair. It's like, hey, can you fix this chair? It's how you word things again. That's kind of the nagging thing is like, give us a list, we'll get it done. A lot of guys, they're like me. I like fixing stuff. I like being like, look what I did. And we talked about Castaway the other day. He's all like, look, man, I made fire. It's the same kind of thing. Look, I fixed this. So definitely, think about that fact that men like to show off. We like to, impress our women. Eating for comfort. I am the world's worst about. I love Jelly Belly jelly beans, and I could get a 6-pound bag of those, and I could sit there and eat them all the time. I don't do that, but I could. So just watch what you're eating, because again, you want to look good for your wife. You want her to look good. You want her to be all sexy, and you want people like, man, your wife is gorgeous. Well, guess what? You want people to say your husband's good looking. So think about what you're wearing, what you're doing, and what you're eating. I don't know about this one. Wearing stupid heels, thinking they will be okay all night.
So women do that. They're like, oh, these are so cute. I'm gonna wear these. And the man's thinking, you can wear those all night.
Okay.
Like,
see, I don't think about that, I guess. So some men do, maybe.
You're uncomfortable. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's a.
I'm kind of like, I was like, when she wears her comfy shoes, I'm like, those are great. Wear those.
Because I don't usually do that.
So those are great.
The men are like, yeah.
But. But leaving your shoes everywhere. So think about that. How many times you walk around and it's like, oh, there's some shoes here, there's some shoes there. I do that sometimes. I have to watch out where I put all my shoes. Unfortunately, I think I got a lot of shoes for men. I don't know. But women have a lot of shoes a lot of times. And there's shoes all over the bedroom, shoes all over the living room, shoes, it's like, think about organization, minimalizing, different things like that. Because it's annoying to guys a lot of times. Overpacking. So how many times you go on vacation? Here's the thing we do. I go, one bag. Everything's in it. I'm done. I'm ready. And she's like, this bag, this bag, this bag. And it's not, you just have to think about, guys, we're going to be carrying all those bags, take what you need, but, sometimes think that maybe I don't need quite as much stuff. So think about that. And again, that's not really a lot of our problem.
Yes, we do. We need all that stuff.
You don't need it all.
But what if we go somewhere different? We might need to wear a different outfit.
No. So picking at spots. So what's this one? Like picking at like.
Oh, we're like, what's that? Oh, that needs to go away. Oh, now. Oh, what's that?
A lot of times the guys say, man, you look beautiful. What about this spot right here? It's like, I didn't even notice that spot until you pointed it out. Now I'm going to stare at that spot all night long. No, I'm kidding. But, a lot of times we're men, definitely, we're with you because we think you're beautiful. And everybody's going to have, a black head here or a zit every once in a while here or something. And it's life. So just, move on and it'll go away and everything will be beautiful. So. Picking off nail varnish. So you ever seen those women that their nails are half picked off and half, it's disgusting, it's ugly. So just, help. If you want to, do like I do. I actually get her feet and I clean her toes, her nail polish off her toes.
He does.
And so you know what, if you don't like it, then help out. You know what I'm saying, guys? It's a pretty good thing. So another thing that women do, and a lot of times when you're dating, maybe not married, because hopefully this ain't gonna happen when you're married. If this happens when you're married, then you have some problems you need to discuss later on. But dating bad boys, women's like, God, these guys are just so horrible. All these guys I'm dating are horrible. Well, you're dating bad boys. Find a nice guy, find a nerdy guy, find somebody that's gonna treat you right, and quit complaining about the ones that don't, because it's you picking them. You're going out with them, right? And then women, I've had this happen years and years ago in my younger life. Giving a fake number. You know what? If you don't want to give a guy a number, then don't give it to him. Can I have your number? No, you can't. Well, guess what? We're going to leave. If you say, okay, and you give us a number, then we're going to think you want to hang out. So don't give fake numbers. Just be honest and say, I don't like it. You know what? I'd rather be somewhere back when I was single, I'd rather a chick tell me, the chicks out there, is a chick, a girl, lady, woman, tell me that, hey, I'm not interested, and move on. Because then you know what, you're going to go find somebody who is interested, right? So don't give them fake numbers. That's nothing. Telling your friends about your sexual life to the detail. And again, men or women, but I hear women do it. I think I hear women, guys do it with each other, and it's more of a kind of a thing that guys do, talking to each other, especially when you're younger. I think the more older you get, the less you talk about stuff like that. But tell them about your sexual life in detail. Oh yeah, I was like bent over, and and howling like a dog, and brr, and, yeah. I mean, some people don't want to hear that. It's like they might be like, oh, okay, but really deep down inside, they don't want to hear it. Two things is, one, it might be disgusting to them. Second of all, they might be jealous. They might be like, oh man, I wish I had a love life like that, or whatever. But just some things are meant to be sacred, and especially if you're married, you're with your woman or your husband, and that's a sacred time, right? Of course, we're going to get in some details later on about some sexual stuff, and we may tell you a few things, but it's something we've talked about, and we don't mind sharing for the podcast and for relationships like that. But we're not going to be like telling details just to get you all excited. We're telling details for a purpose, so that's different. Being on social media constantly. Again, there's times that I post a lot of stuff. If you go look at 90% of my posts are about business, about driving something with our podcast or our photography or our relationships courses or something to that fact. But there's another deal just being on there just to be on there. And sometimes it's fun to go there, and I try to look at stuff, and I'm very good about speed reading, and I'll like stuff. And then I get home and she goes, "Did you see that?" And I go, "Yeah, I already saw it." She goes, "How did you see that?" And I was like, "It's not because I sit there and spend a lot of time on social media. It's because I'm fast. I'm just like, I love it, and I move on." So just really watching how much social media you're on. Some parts are good. You're learning some stuff, and you're connecting with some friends you don't see. But at the same time, think about your life with your spouse and your loved one. And you want to make sure that you're spending that time with them and not being on social media during that time. Like she said, Crystal said earlier, when you're not with them, get on there and check out stuff, do your thing. But when you're with them, cut that time out. Being a slob, right? Never working out. Now, I don't go and lift weights and do all that. In the back of my younger days, and especially when I was on SWAT, I used to work out all the time. But now I don't. I'm an older man, but I'm still pretty decent shape. I still get out and mow the yard, and I, clean up stuff and pick up stuff, clean the pool and do different things. So I'm always, I'm doing something physically. At work, I work physically all day long. So I'll arm wrestle anybody. Y'all ready? Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. I always tell the boys that. I say, y'all want to arm wrestle? And they're always like, oh, no. But it's, I care about that fact. I care about the way I look. I'm not the most physique guy. I'm a 50. How old am I? 51. I'm 51 years old, and I'm pretty decent shape at 51. I could be better, but definitely if I was a slob, I'd be a lot worse. So take care about what you look like. Like I said before in the last podcast, I shave when I think that I need to impress my wife and to do that. And I could be like this fully grown out beard and not care about nothing. And you've got to do that. And that goes back to caring about your health, not being a human garbage disposal. The same thing with your woman you're with. You don't want her to be a human garbage disposal. You don't want her to be all unhealthy. So you really, picking out what you like about somebody and what you want somebody to be like. How many times you've seen those commercials of those guys are all like liking the hot woman in the bikini at the beach and different things like that, and yet they're all sitting there like with their burrito and their funnel cake and their corn, and just their stomachs overlapped over their, belt, but yet they want that kind of woman. Well, guess what? If you want that kind of woman, then you need to work on getting rid of that food and get to working out, and that's the kind of woman you want. I've seen couples do some coaching and different things, but they both work out. And you know what? They're both in good shape, and guess what? They're a good couple because they're doing things like that together. And it's the same thing with what we do. We do a lot of stuff we do together, photography, relationship coaching, and different things like that. We do together, and it should be that kind of simple. If you want to be with somebody, a certain type of person, then you need to be that type of person. If you want to be fat and lazy, then you're probably going to be somebody's fat and lazy. You know, be fat and lazy together. Is that rude?
No.
Speaking of lazy,
Accurate.
too lazy to remove your makeup, right? How many guys seen that? You know, you wake up and the woman next to you has her mascara down over here like
They
this.
look like the Joker.
Lipstick's all over here, and she goes, "Why so serious?" Right? Take off your makeup. Your man, he's gonna love you without your makeup. If he doesn't, then something's wrong, right? You need to sit down and discuss that because it's just weird. And then complaining about your body, right? I complain to a extent. You know, I'm always like, oh, I could, use a few pounds off here or whatever. And that's normal. There'll be times that Chris will be like, I look fat, and I'm like, no, you do not. But you get to the point where you're complaining about your body to the point where it's annoying, right? It's like, oh, dear Lord, please just shut up. Because you're just going overboard. So, that annoys a lot of guys. So, when a man tells you, baby, you look great, then stop, because he thinks you look great.
Guilty.
Not seeing a feminine doctor regularly. Guys don't want to see that or smell that, or we don't want to know. Matter of fact, we don't want to know. Just go do it. Just go to that feminine doctor, lady, man, whatever. Get all that stuff done. First of all, it's very healthy for the woman, right? It's going to make the woman more healthy. It's going to make the woman feel better. And also the guys, as well, men, same thing as men. You need to go down and clean yourself up and do all that too. It's the same thing. You just got to really pay attention to your hygiene and your health, really. So, comparing yourself to other women. Okay, we know for a fact that you're not going to be this woman. You're not going to be that woman because you are who you are. Guess what? We married you. We love you because of you. There's going to be, women and men are going to like things about other women and men who are, especially when you think about movie stars and rock stars and different things that people like, Like, I will never be Axl Rose. I don't look like Axl Rose back when he was young and good looking dude. He's a little rough now, but I will never look like Axl Rose, talk like Axl Rose. I will never dance like Axl Rose. My wife loves Axl Rose, and she loves Guns N' Roses. She likes, different things like that, in fact. So I will never be that type of guy, and that's fine. She also likes Bruce Willis, and I'm more maybe a Bruce Willis type in my hairdo. But going back to the same thing is don't compare yourself. Say I'll never be, like some of my favorite, Olivia Newton-John. My wife was like, I'll never be Olivia Newton-John. I was in love with Olivia Newton-John back when I was young. And I still think she's a great woman. She's way older now, but I still think she's a great woman. But my wife will never be Olivia Newton-John. I'm not expecting her to be Olivia Newton-John. I didn't go to marry Olivia Newton-John, just like she didn't go to marry Axl Rose. We all are going to have those ones that we're thinking that that's a decent looking person or a good looking person, or there was a heartthrob at the time, because we're all young. We're going to have heartthrobs. We're going to like movie stars and rock singers and all that. But again, women, just don't go and compare yourself to other women, or sitting in a club or somewhere and be like, oh, she looks way better than me. Because trust me, the guy's with you, he does not care what other women look like. Most of the time, we're too busy trying to be macho around our buddies. Look at me. We didn't even notice the other woman because we're trying to be macho. So, quit complaining about that. So, being a homebody, same thing for a man and a woman. I don't know too many guys that you've seen them women sitting there eating the fried chicken, laying on the couch, watching soap operas and all that. We don't want that. There's times to watch soap operas, I guess, but don't be a homebody. The best thing is attractive is when you're out, you see a woman, you're single, and you're like, wow, she's out. We were out in public, and you go out and do things, it's just more appealing than a woman that's at home all the time. Overthinking text. So again, this is men and women. I'm really bad about sending text, and then I'll go back and read it, what I sent. And I go back and read it again. I'm like, did I say that right? That word there? And sometimes I even tell her, I'll even text and say, is my grammar right? But I was like, so don't overthink them. I know my wife does the same thing. She sends out texts and emails, and she'll even send me something. Does this look right? Does this sound this way or sound that way? And I'm like, oh, sounds great, baby. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it, right? And again, going back to the hygiene thing, women, don't worry about your periods, PMS. Look at that, manly man. I talk about that in my woman. So, but just think about that again. You don't want to use that as an excuse, right? How many women? Oh, I've got a headache, or it's that time of the month. You know, and I understand. Sometimes you're gonna have cramps, and it's gonna hurt, and that's fine. Let the man know. So, you know what? I'm not really feeling that well, and you know, and that's fine. We don't mind it, but don't go overstating it. You know, don't be like, oh my God, it's that time of the month. Don't talk to me. Don't touch me. Just say, you know, it's that time of the month, and it's fine. We understand. We don't understand the period part, but we understand that that's a time of the month that it's rougher for y'all. And most men will be like, well, can I get something, you know, to put on your back, or rub your back, or something to help you out. We're definitely, you know,
hopefully most men will be like that.
Right. And so, you know, understand that happens, and it's men understand, but women don't use it and abuse it to the point of using it as excuses.
Yes, don't. Hopefully most women will not do that.
And women, please, for the love of God, quit stressing out what you're wearing, right? 90% of the time, again, men are loving what you're wearing. My wife walked out with a Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses t-shirt and a pair of shorts. I'm like, yeah, baby, looking great. And she's like, this is my sleeping clothes. I'm like, oh. But so stop stressing out what you're wearing. You know, get dressed up to how you feel and you like. You know, once you put on something you like it, trust us men, we're gonna like it 99.9% of the time. And if something's crazy, we'll be like, is that what I'm supposed to wear? Is that the way we're dressing tonight? You know, most men will ask things like that. And again, that goes back to communication, right? A lot of this is about communication. If you communicate well with your partner, and you're going to know your likes and dislikes and different things like that, then you're going to understand some of these things, a lot of these things that you're going to go through together, and you're going to discuss, and you're going to talk about. But the problem is, and why we're here talking about it, is because a lot of people hide these, right? They hide these annoying things. They hide these pet peeves, and they don't ever say anything. And then it grows, and it becomes a problem. And that's what we're here about, is to talk about it. That's not a problem if you sit down and talk about it. Everybody's gonna be annoyed by certain things. It's life. We're built that way, but if we discuss it, and two things. One is if we're a manly man and we're loving our wives, we're gonna look and say, okay, I need to work on that, right? Same thing with a woman. She's gonna be like, oh, I didn't know that. She might be a little upset at first, but she'll get over it, and you'll move on, and she'll probably work on those also. It's just really and truly, it's really about discussing. And if you think that, you know, there's times that maybe you need to talk to somebody, don't forget Crystal at wingsandrelationship.com. She does 15-minute free consultation for coaching. Call and talk to her and see if coaching may be right for you in your relationship, man or woman, or couples. Definitely look us up on wingsandrelationship.com and get that free coaching session, 15-minute talk to see maybe if coaching might be right for you. Again, we're here to help. We want to help build those bonds, and this is one of the things that we talked about was like, you know what, I think one of the problems is in a lot of relationships is they don't talk about things that secretly annoy them, right? And some things are very simple, and some things are a little more tougher to sit down. You have to get that glass of wine that we talked about, you know, look at one of our sponsors, Naked Wine, you like that, you like that. But you gotta get that glass of wine, you gotta sit down and talk about things, because I think that's some of our, you know, things we've dealt with since we've been together is sometimes sitting down and having that awkward conversation about things we like, don't like, and things that bother us. And don't think that's all happened in the past. That could have been, we have that every week, every couple of weeks. There's things that we need to sit down and talk about.
And here's another thing on that note, being very self-aware. And if you're not sure what that means, don't take that personally. I mean, look it up. Just being self-aware is something that we all, even myself, it is a constant, it's a constant battle, and something that we all must continually work on throughout our lives. Just, when you're coming to someone and saying, hey, I have this issue that I'd like to talk to you about, being self-aware means that you've also maybe noticed that your partner maybe is off a little bit. So maybe they're annoyed with you as well. Or, maybe you're not annoyed with them, but you've noticed that they're off a little bit. Like, hey, I've noticed that you're not yourself lately. Could I maybe schedule some time with you? Could we maybe go out to dinner one night this week? I'd really like to talk to you over some dinner, or let's have a glass of wine, or if you don't drink, like, hey, let's go have some ice cream. Whatever it is that you do, I can promise you, if they care about you and they care about the relationship, they will be overwhelmed that you have noticed, number one, that something is off with them, and number two, that you are taking the time to really reach out to them and want to address the situation. But to really sit down and have that time to kind of hash out what's going on and have the conversation where, we talked about the wording. I feel like, using those I statements are really important. A lot of times they feel more comfortable, going ahead and letting out what is going on. But being self-aware means you see and you feel what is happening around you, and being open to your partner's feelings and their emotions and their well-being every day. You notice those things that are going on with them, their typical daily habits. And if you are so self-enclosed, you're not going to pick up on those things. So it's really important to not only be, self-care and self-love, but also doing those things with your partner, because, it has to go both ways. So if you want those things for yourself, you also have to want those for your partner.
So again, we're going to wrap this up now, and again, this is about pet peeves and things that annoy you that you keep secret and you need to discuss, right? So again, don't forget to go, if you have questions that you want us to talk about on our podcast, Crystal at wingsandrelationships.com or Jack at wingsandrelationships.com. You can also go to our website, wingsandrelationships.com, and check out some blogs and different things there, and talk about the coaching. Free consultation call is awesome. And really and truly, we just want to thank those also who shout us out. We have a few friends. I'm just going to name a couple real quick. I don't think they like shout outs, but Jenna, is that right? Jenna, thank you so much for shouting us out all the time. We love it. We love you for doing that. And Jana Ray, another one that really shouts out a lot of stuff we do. So those two ladies, we really appreciate them shouting us out. And if you want us to shout you out, let us know, because we're definitely, a lot of people really help us out, and helping by shouting us out through their social media. So we appreciate that. Again, this is Dirty Secrets. No, it's not. We're awkward conversations and dirty secrets.
We're very awkward.
Yes, we are. We are awkward. We're an awkward couple, but we love it. Again, thank you for listening, and here on podcast, whether it be Spotify or on Apple, We're on Google, we're on Anchor, we're on several different podcast sites, and we're also on YouTube, Wings Relationships and Gentle Peeps Creative Studios on both those YouTubes. So again, thank you for listening or watching Awkward Conversations and Dirty Secrets.